Welcome to JHouze Radio, episode 91. Nine episodes from 100. It is your fearless leader, your amazing black man, the Mr. Man who's always being imagined by people being in tank tops and boots. Um, KJ is in the building.
we, we
Also,
won't tell. We won't tell that story.
also my amazing co-host, the wise man on the mountain, the secret you don't want to tell your mama, and Maui's I guess long distance cousin, because you look like Maui. Los.
Everyone says that.
Everybody says you look
Aloha,
like Maui.
people.
Los
Aloha.
is in the building. My energy just like like shot through the roof just now, like literally right before we went live. I was thinking to myself, like, I am extremely tired. Please just let me get through this podcast tonight. And then as soon as I hit record, I'm like, this energy just like flowed through my body.
You know what? I've
Mhm.
been feeling the same way too, just like exhausted.
Mhm.
And I don't know why.
Yeah, same here. Same here. It's literally the same thing. It's like today I felt so extremely tired today. I'm just like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, nah, man. I gotta do the pod. This is like the one thing I look forward to, like, throughout the month. I just freaking gotta do it. So we're here, man. We're here.
Same
And
here.
enough of the tired old man talk, guys. We're here to talk some entertainment, some film, some video games, and some Nightmare on Elm Street. We're doing a retrospective on Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, Freddy Krueger. So that's gonna be fun. A little different for the pod, but you know what? In terms of Halloween season, we figured why not.
Yes.
So before we jump into that, as always, don't forget we're gonna pay the bills real quick. If you guys are watching us live, hit that like and subscribe. Support the show. If you guys listen to the audio version of this podcast, make sure you guys leave a review, follow us, and if you guys want to support us, Patreon is the best way to do it. Leave a review on the audio version, or check out our merch, which will be in the description below. It keeps the lights on around here, guys. Much appreciated, as always.
Very, very true.
Los PWLs, do you have any this week?
I'm not playing anything.
So you mean to tell me that you're not playing the Amazing Spider-Man 2 that just came out on PS5 a few days ago?
Boy, I'm too broke to buy the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Let's just keep it real.
Oh man, I feel you, man. I feel you. Are you watching anything at least?
No, not really, man. I mean, I'm watching Star Trek Lower Decks, but those are like cartoons and they're like 25 minutes. And as good as they are, they'll be over in 2 episodes
Yeah.
for the season. And then we're going back into the desert that is Hollywood right now.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Well, for me, I am actually playing Spider-Man 2. I just started it. Maybe I put about 3 hours in or something like that, and it's, pun intended, it's freaking amazing. I would have to say it's, even only putting in a few hours so far, it, like, the story is just so amazing. The acting is just off the charts. The gameplay is just awesome. You can switch between Miles and Peter just seamlessly, like literally at the press of a button. Like that literally shows the power of the PS5, shows the power of that amazing SSD that they have in that bad boy. You can literally be in the middle of a mission. Well, I don't know if you can be in the middle of a mission, but I know, like, you could just be in the middle of swinging. You can pause the game, press a button, and you can switch to wherever Peter Parker is, and vice versa. And it's just so fluid and seamless. Um, Graphics are amazing. And like I said, I'm only about maybe a few hours in, so I'm not going to spoil anything or give away any like story beats or anything like that. But it's, so far, it's a good game, and it's been getting rave reviews, like nines, tens, in some places, and some people are definitely already putting this in game of the year category.
Oh, do you think it's going to beat Harry Potter?
I think it will probably beat Harry Potter. Harry Potter will probably give it some competition, but just based off the power of Spider-Man, especially nowadays, I feel like it's going to be Harry Potter, Spider-Man 2. Jeez, I can't even think of all the other games that came out there. But there's so many great games that actually came out this year. Diablo 4, I know that's going to be up there for Game of the Year. Um, Yeah, it's definitely Spider-Man is gonna be on that list for sure. It's probably gonna be a lot of people's favorites to actually win Game of the Year this year. So
Okay.
awesome game, man. So far,
I mean, I've
awesome.
seen some of the gameplay and it looks good,
Yeah.
but like every clip I have only shows like there's all this sand everywhere, and I'm like, I think I need to go watch the full walkthrough to find out why is there sand all over New York.
Yeah. Are you actually gonna dive into it, or are you just gonna probably just watch somebody else play it?
Well, I'm eventually gonna buy the game, but I'll probably buy it for myself around Christmas. So like in a month or two.
Okay. Just be careful with spoilers, man, because everywhere I look on YouTube, everywhere I look on social media, even if I'm trying to like not look for it, it just pops up in my face. Like, oh, guess who is Venom? You want to see the ending of the Spider-Man game? It's just so many things just popping up left and right. It's
See,
like the minute.
that's the
Mhm.
difference between you and me. I love spoilers and you hate them.
I hate spoilers, man. I am like anti spoiler. Get them things away from me, bro. Like just don't do it. Especially for like a game like this. Like the whole point of me experiencing this game is to experience it. I don't want you to tell me what the ingredients are before I like take a nice bite into it. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying you don't eat cake or pancakes or hamburgers?
Bad
I mean, come
analogy.
on. Come
Bad
on.
analogy. Bad analogy for sure. But yeah, so far I'm loving it, man. Loving it. As far as what I'm watching, I just got finished watching Killer of a Flower Moon, the Scorsese film. I'm not sure if you heard of it.
Yeah, I wasn't too interested in it at first because all I saw was just clips of Leonardo DiCaprio's face, how he looks like crap. So I was like, yeah, I could care less. And Scorsese lately, I'm not feeling his stuff. But after I saw a trailer for it, I was like, all right, I'll watch this.
The
So I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's a little long. It's like 3 and some change. I think like 3:30, 3:45. It's a pretty long movie actually. But yeah, I saw it recently. It's based off a 1920s Oklahoma family and Native American family who actually has their own oil business. And as you already know, the white man comes, scoops in there, and try to take their money and try to take their business, and trying to kill the entire family in the process. That is not a spoiler.
Yep,
That is in the trailer. But
that is history.
yeah, so it's a pretty gritty and in your face story. There's some stuff in the film that might make some people feel uncomfortable, but that's the one thing that I love about the film is that it is raw. Leonardo DiCaprio, amazing performance, hands down one of his best performances. Loved him in this film. Robert De Niro, as always, he's the goat. You know what I mean? So this is an Apple original film, which is
Yeah,
like I said before, Apple man, they're really digging their heels into this filmmaking business. When they first put out Apple Plus and they said they wanted to get into film and TV and shows and all that stuff like that, I thought it was a little weird. I just figured they were just trying to follow the sheep, but Apple has been putting out some quality films, and this is one of their first films that actually went straight to theater. Um, I think they have another one coming out in a few months that's going straight to theater as well. But for their first attempt as a straight to theater film, I definitely got to give them props. It's definitely great. I would not be surprised if this is not nominated for Film of the Year. At least nominated. It's good film. Good film.
all right.
Um,
Well, I'm definitely gonna check it out.
yeah, for
Won't
sure.
no, but I'm gonna try.
Okay. All right, let me see. What else are we jumping into here? See. All right. Do you have a random fact, Los, for the beautiful people today before we jump
Yes,
into
I
it?
do. Hold on one second. Let me pull it up.
Let me clear my throat.
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na. Sorry, now you got that song stuck in my head.
I know.
Uh, the sirens heard in the casino scene in Swingers were police on their way to stop the filmmakers who were shooting without a permit.
What? Are you serious?
Yes.
That is so funny. Wow. It's like funny but messed up at the same time.
Oh, I've had that happen to me. I've had that happen to me. Where I'm shooting a
Wow.
small independent film and cops come and they're like, "Oh, do you have a permit?" and blah 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 blah. And then everyone like whips out their student IDs. Like half of them are outdated. They're like, "No, it's a student film. Look, these are all our IDs." and they have a tendency to, like, say, "Yeah, wrap it up in half an hour," and then you get to walk away. But I've known people who've gotten tickets for it.
Really?
Yeah. In major
Wow.
cities, people will give out a lot of tickets. In, like, non-major cities, cops will either, hang around, just kinda like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?"
Yeah.
Or they'll just, like, tell you, "Get out of here." But 9 out of 10 times, most cops in a non-major city will just be like, "Oh, so what are you guys doing?" And then, like, you talk to them about the gear and everything else and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it sucks half an hour out of your shoot, but it
Yeah.
allows you to continue the shoot, you know? You'll be surprised how much cops are, like, very curious about movies and photo shoots.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's what's gonna get them off your back, I'll sit there and talk to you for a minute. We're gonna jump into the topic that we are here for, and that is Nightmare on Elm Street. We're going to do a deep dive on the franchise of Freddy Krueger and all his Nightmare on Elm Street films, give our thoughts on it, and just basically kick back and have conversation with you guys about it. Like I said, we're in the spirit of Halloween, or Fall Fest, whatever you guys want to call it. So yeah, we're gonna do something different.
Or
Which
All Hallows Eve is
all
the
Hallow-
original name.
there you
All
go.
Hallows Eve, yeah. The original name for Halloween.
I was actually surprised that you wanted to do this particular topic because I know you're not a horror movie guy.
No, I'm not a horror movie guy in general, but really, for me, it's more like slasher films and stuff that I don't really get. Like,
Mhm.
I don't understand what the joy of it is.
Okay.
But Freddy Krueger, all of them have had some sort of through line in it. Like, there's a story behind the horror, and that's what makes it interesting. That's why I
Yeah.
like a lot of possession horror movies, because there's a storyline in it, so that's what makes it really interesting. Like you're invested in the characters and stuff like that, and trying to find out what's going on. So that's one of the things Freddy Krueger has over a lot of other horror films, was there is a through line. There's a story, whether it's the original, the terrible one that was part two, the Dream Warriors, all of them had some kind of storyline through, and why Freddy is going after them. One, how they're defending themselves, how they communicate with each other, and like, you root for a lot of these characters to survive, and when they don't, you're a little sad, and you're like, damn, who's next? So that's one
Yeah.
of the reasons why I think Freddy, the Nightmare on Elm Street, is such a great franchise. Although the remake was terrible.
Yeah, the remake was so bad, I actually kinda, like, just erased that from my mind because it was just really bad. It was horrible, you know? I think the Nightmare on Elm Street, this is actually one of my questions that I want us to talk about, actually. Do you feel like the Nightmare on Elm Street is one of those films, that should just like, they should just be done with it? Don't try to remake it. Don't try to have like an origin story or try to find some way to continue to like. Do you feel like it's just one of those franchises where it's just like, hey, it had its run, it had an amazing run, it had a historic run. Just let it rest.
Um, no, no. I think there's still two or three films left in the franchise. Who is smart enough to actually make that come to life? I don't know. The thing about Freddy Krueger is, if you do not find the right actor to play Freddy Krueger, who is part terrifying and part hysterical, all at the same time, you're not going to make a good Freddy Krueger movie. But I do feel there's still two or three other films that can be made, but I think the last one should be made where they completely get rid of Freddy Krueger. Like, they find a way to send his soul to hell or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, because honestly, that's one of the things that made the original the Nightmare on Elm Street films just so classic. Robert England, man, like
Yeah,
that is Freddy Krueger. There are just some actors out there who play roles um like freaking Sylvester Stallone, like he's Rocky. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
see him, you think Rocky. You know, the guy who
or
played Tony
Rambo.
Stark, or Rambo. You know, Rocky and Rambo. Like that's two. Like I actually just thought about that. Like he played two amazing, iconic characters that he will always be known for. Um, and just so on and so forth. So many actors out here who play these particular roles, and like they're known for those roles. And Robert Englund was known for his role as Freddy Krueger, and to get somebody who can take that and make it their own and just run with it, I know that's got to be hard. It's hard to do that. It's really hard
There's
to.
one actor who I think could do it. Let me pull up his name for you uh, in 1 second.
Okay.
The actor from Reanimator.
Reanimator. I feel like I
Yes,
know that. What is that?
Jeffrey Combs. I think
Reanimator.
he's probably one of the few actors who could pull it off. Because if you look at the films he's done, he's been both terrifying, funny, charming, charismatic, like everything all at once. So I think he's one of the few actors who could pull it off.
Oh, Jeffrey Combs. Yes, I agree. I agree. He has Jeffrey Combs has that weird just look about him. You know what I mean? Like he looks like that next door neighbor that you don't want watching your kids. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah,
definitely has that look. So I can see that. Jeffrey Combs, I can see that. The question is like how old is he now?
he was born in 54. So
Okay,
hold
so
on.
he's a little up
He's
there.
too old to play the part, but like I believe he has the skills for it.
Yeah.
Um, Someone younger, I don't know. You
Yeah,
know,
that's gonna be tough, man. That's gonna be tough. Like anybody younger playing that role is like you gotta be an amazing actor, man. You really have to be an amazing actor to play that role because
yeah.
those are big shoes to fill, man. Big shoes. So
I can't think of a younger actor who could do it. Can anyone in chat think of somebody?
I don't know. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, if anybody can think of a younger actor that can actually play that kind of role, let me know because that would I don't know. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. And the other thing too about it is, do you stick with an American actor or do you go across the pond and grab a British actor? Or do you go completely out of typecasting and go somebody, Indian, Chinese, Latino, African, like that's one of those things. Because of the makeup, the ethnicity I feel like doesn't matter, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't think it matters. I think Trave Man in chat says Jared Leto. Oh man.
You know what? Physically, I 100% agree with you. I think physically he has the right small frame and everything else, but he's just crazy, you know? And I think he
What?
would
Well,
actually
that's
hurt
perfect.
somebody.
That's perfect though. He's crazy.
No, but I think he would hurt somebody. Like you've heard everything he did when he was playing Joker.
Yeah, he was he's one of those method actors for sure. Like hardcore method actors.
Yeah, a little too method if you ask me. But yeah, Jared Leto was probably the closest today that I think who could pull that off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would probably say Jared Leto, honestly. Like, no jokes, that probably would be the closest person. 'Cause like you said, at the end of the day, it's not about I don't think it's about who doing it. I just think it's about if that person has range to be creative and be spooky, then yeah, go for it. Go for
The
it.
only other actor I would think maybe would be Wes Chatham. He was in The Expanse and he played the stormtrooper with the gold mask.
Oh, okay. M-
He's a good
Maybe.
actor who could pull off because I've seen in The Expanse he pulls off creepy, and psycho.
Mm, okay.
And in real life, he's really funny. Like you see interviews with him, and he's like the nicest, warmest guy who's like always laughing and joking with everybody.
Yeah.
So I think maybe him, but other than those, but he's the wrong body type. But other than those two, I really can't think of anybody.
Okay. Okay. Which film out of all the Nightmare on Elm Street films is your favorite or worst? Or
Uh,
not so favorite?
Hold on, let me pull up the list
Okay.
because I want to make sure.
IMDb.
Um,
I choose you.
I would probably say number three, Dream Warriors.
Wow. Okay. I'm surprised you picked that one.
I just really like the story in it and the fact that Nancy came back. I thought was really good. Um, and not only that, it tried to come back to being scary again. It didn't pull it off in certain places, but for me, it's still my favorite. The best one is still the first one because
Oh
that one
yeah.
was actually scary.
Yeah. I'll agree. I'll agree.
And Johnny Depp's first role.
Yes, that a lot of people I don't know if you guys know that, but, yeah, that's another random fact. The very first Nightmare on Elm Street is Johnny Depp's first film, which is
Yep.
pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Um, I would have to say my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film is actually Wes Craven's New Nightmare, that came out in 1994. I think just what they did with this story in Nightmare on Elm Street was very interesting that you don't even see a lot of movies do today. Um, Heather Cap, the actress that plays Nancy, was playing herself in this movie. She was playing Heather
Oh
Cap.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and like all the actors, like even like everybody was playing themselves. You know what I mean? Wes Craven was playing himself, so on and so forth. Robert Englund was playing himself, and the world of the film Nightmare on Elm Street that they portrayed and produced and directed all these years was bleeding into real life, and that's what that story was about. And I thought that was just so interesting, especially from a horror movie. Like you don't really see a lot of intricate storylines like that. And Wes Craven, growing up, was literally one of my favorite horror directors of all time. Like I freaking love that man. What he did with that franchise, what he did with the Scream franchise before he passed away was like he just put out like he made just smart horror films because horror films are usually known to be stupid and immature and people do dumb things and they fall over their own feet, stuff like that. Wes Craven made fun of that stuff and he took it to a different level. And what he did with New Nightmare was just so amazing. So for me, besides the original Nightmare on Elm Street, New Nightmare was actually probably I would have to say my favorite out of the entire franchise.
Okay.
Love it.
What I
Awesome.
liked about it is in the original Nightmare on Elm Street is they had, okay, let me get the actor's name right. John Saxton in it.
Oh
He played the
yes.
father. This is the guy who was in Enter the Dragon. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
trying to say? And he's a Nightmare on Elm Street, which I thought was awesome.
yeah. Seriously. Like he was a big like at that time to get him for that film. That was a big deal. There wasn't really a lot of
Yeah.
known actors in that film, or at least good actors in that film, and to have him in there was big for them, honestly.
Not
Because
only that, what's his name again? Robert England was mostly a TV was known as a TV actor.
yeah, yeah. So that was big for them to snag him. That was really big. Um, so do you think? Hold on, let me see. I'm trying to get this question right. Do you think that there is room in the horror film industry for another franchise to like rival what Nightmare on Elm Street is? Like, do you think there's a chance that we're going to get something of this type of quality of a franchise ever again? Because if you think about the horror films that we've gotten over the years, really hasn't been much. I feel like I feel like the horror franchise has been going through a drought. I know we get like cheesy movies a few times a year, but we haven't really got a substantial like franchise or horror film in a very long time. Maybe outside of the Conjuring movies and stuff like that,
I
maybe.
was just gonna say that, The Conjuring. I was just gonna say that.
But I feel like they're by themselves. I feel like there's really nobody else right now. There's nothing else out right now, like besides garbage.
Well, Scream tried to be a franchise. And they
Yes,
got really
yeah,
they're I mean, they are a franchise, but I kind of feel like they don't hold the magic that Nightmare on Elm Street or even Friday the 13th held.
yeah,
I mean, they tried bringing back Michael Myers a couple times, but I just kind of think the idea of a slasher like that, I think is passe now.
I
You
agree.
know,
I agree.
uh, I think maybe Evil Dead.
Yeah, they're trying to bring it like see like that's the thing. Evil Dead, Scream, these are all franchises that were big in their time and they're trying to bring it back to feed it to new blood,
Well,
give it to new faces and stuff like that. But
Evil Dead had a TV show.
yes, Ash versus Evil Dead, I still haven't watched it yet. I
I
still
haven't
haven't
watched
watched
it either, and
it.
it's all done.
Yeah, still haven't watched
Maybe
it.
that should be part of our retro review.
Yeah, maybe we could do that. We could probably do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like they're trying to. I mean, just like I was talking to you about right before we went live on the show, a lot of these film industries, I mean, these film studios are trying to live off these old franchises and bring stuff back. And I get it. You want to try to bring it to a new generation and, try to make that money, again, and so on and so forth. But I'm getting tired of the reboots. I'm getting tired of the remakes, the remasters, the origin stories. Like, I mean, heck, we have an origin story for, Willy Wonka coming out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
who asked for a Willy Wonka origin story? Who wants that? You know what I mean? But I'm kind of getting tired of just like the redos, the do overs, the remakes, and the remasters. I'm kind of getting tired of that. And I feel like we don't get enough original stories anymore, especially when it comes to film.
Well, the problem is the money. When you look at the 90s, you're looking at a very unique era in film where um, video cameras and film being the cheapest it's ever been um, allowed people to make a lot of independent films. So people will make these films, market them, sell them to these movie companies or distribution companies, and it would go out there. But what's killed a lot of originality has become YouTube, for sure, because
Yeah,
now you don't need a distributor. You can just make it, post it, Um, and because movie studios aren't willing to gamble money anymore, they're just like, listen, I just need something that's a hit. Well, listen, we know Star Trek's a hit, we'll do Star Trek. We know Star Wars is a hit, we'll do Star Wars. We know, this movie or that movie's a hit, we'll do that one.
yeah,
And that's kind of what they've done. But unfortunately, when they do the remakes, they lose the soul of what the film originally was meant to be.
yeah,
RoboCop is a good example. You know, although the RoboCop reboot was entertaining, it was nothing like the original.
yeah,
Um, Even if they would have just left him silver and not done the black, I think that would have helped people accept it more.
yeah.
Um, what's the other one that Arnold Schwarzenegger did where he went to Mars?
Total Recall.
When they rebooted Total Recall, like that was a complete disaster. I was like, what are they trying to make here?
I didn't even try to watch that. It looked like it was gonna be bad. Like I love the original Total Recall. I watched it a billion times. But when I heard that they were doing a remake or whatever you want to call it, I was like, I am not watching that crap. Not doing it.
Well, the thing is, the Total Recall remake had great moments in the film, but not enough moments to make it a good film.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those movies where like, hey, yeah, watch this scene or watch that scene, but you can't really go past that. Legion says same for some movies or shows or video games that become live action as well. Um,
Yeah.
yes, I agree. And a lot of problem with turning games into movies is you have a situation like what we had with The Last of Us, where Kay played it and he loved it, and I didn't play it, and then I just didn't enjoy it,
Yeah.
So games are also, something else. And then there's the disaster that was the Halo TV show.
Oh my goodness gracious. Actually, um, I don't think Halo the TV show was if they would have just called it anything else, I would have liked it. If they
If
just
they
said
would have just read the manual on the camera or their editing software and made it look like a movie, I think people would have been a lot more accepting.
he said it was
It was a high budget production that looked cheap. It looked like a B
yeah.
movie.
I don't understand what happened. They put a lot of money into the show and it looked so cheesy. And like, mind you, I don't mind a cheesy show. I love cheesy shows as much as the next person. Like, I really do. Come on, like I grew up in the '90s, so I love cheesy shows as much as the next person. But just what they were going for, especially when you take a franchise like Halo, there's a certain expectation. And then when you have the bar all the way down here, everybody who knows the franchise or kind of have an idea of what to expect look at this and they say, what the heck is this? What are you doing? Why did you
Yeah.
even call this Halo? You should have just called this Spaceman Saving the Universe, something.
Or even keep the Halo title, but don't show Sarge. Have him be a secondary character that rescues your main character or
Yeah,
something like that.
exactly. I would have rather just not have been about Master Chief, just made it about one of the random grunts or something, and then just say, "Hey, this is a Halo universe story."
Yeah.
All right, cool. like there's no major expectation, and you don't have to worry about the major story beats connecting or not. You just say, hey, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to do something in the Halo universe. That's
Yeah,
it.
I
Would make
agree.
more would make way more sense.
I
Um,
100% agree.
But yeah, like I said, as far as the horror franchises right now, I feel like the only thing that's really doing something on a consistent quality basis would have to be the Conjuring franchise. Honestly, in my opinion, I love that franchise. I think they're doing some great things. They're making their
Mhm.
own universe, so to speak. Um, and yeah, I think that's the only thing that's really doing something. I mean, I know Saw came back with like Saw 10, but that's just come on. Who still watches Saw, man? The first Saw was classic. I will admit that. Classic film. After that, just stop it. Just please stop it. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I
So
agree with you. I agree
what
with
are
you.
what are some of your favorite moments from the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise?
I wish I could remember the line where Freddy Krueger grabs that person and smashes their head on the TV, and he says a line
I
afterwards, which I
I knew
can't
you
remember the line.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Um,
Um, the first when he murdered that girl in the first movie, remember she's running around on the ceiling and getting all cut up and bloody.
that's iconic. That's an iconic scene that to this day people still talk about, people still try to imitate. That's a very iconic scene. Um
Although the creepiest was when Nancy's in the bathtub and the hand comes up in between her legs.
that was a really that whole that first movie had a lot of just creepy shots. Because there's this brand new franchise. This guy with claws, his face looks like cheese pizza. We didn't know what to expect of this character, and
Yeah,
there was just so many things that happened in that first movie that you're like, oh my goodness, that we never seen before. I think one
yeah,
of the creepiest moments for me is in the first film where you see Freddy for the first time, like in the flesh, and he's chasing down not Nancy but another random character in the movie, and his arms stretched like long
yeah,
across and they're like scratching the walls. For me, growing up watching that as a kid, I was terrified because that just looked weird. It just creepy. Like you just see a guy's arm stretching, and I think that's one of the things about like Freddy that made him so terrifying is that some of the things that he did was kind of cartoonish, but he did it in the real world, which made it weird and creepy.
yeah,
It just looked odd, and I think that's one of the things, especially growing up, that made Freddy just terrifying because
yeah.
he had fun.
Not only that, and here's the one thing that people don't realize because I looked up the facts to come I know this. The original Freddy Krueger movie, as the original Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger only had 10 minutes of screen time. Under 10 minutes of screen time.
Oh yeah, I feel like I've read that somewhere. That's crazy to think about that. That's
Yeah,
crazy to think under 10 minutes in the entire film.
under 10 minutes.
That is see Wes Craven, man. Give that man his Wes Craven did some amazing stuff with that film.
Yeah,
Like for you to put out Nightmare on Elm Street and have the main character be in the movie for less than 10 minutes and still have an impact the way that film did, unheard of. Unheard of. You know,
absolutely.
but that shows like Freddy is more of he's not just like the slasher guy. Like he's more of the guy that like has a presence about him, like that has an aura about him that's just terrifying. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just the thought of him is terrifying. So
And not only that, anytime you see someone with a striped sweater, instantly in your head you're thinking, Freddy Krueger.
yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm thinking too, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite moments. I mean, I have so many favorite moments with Freddie, but like I'll be here forever picking out all my favorite moments for sure.
All right.
So,
So what about Freddy versus Jason? What did you think
uh,
about that? And what did you think about who eventually won the fight?
did you know? I don't have the exact number, but I did hear that that movie was in production for years,
Yes. It was in
like
production hell.
a very long time, off and on. I think they changed directors, they changed scripts. That movie was, oh goodness gracious. That movie was in production like craziness, almost like video games are today nowadays, basically.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I thought Freddy versus Jason. Well, I will first say I remember watching uh I forgot which Jason movie it was, but there was a Jason movie at the end of it when Jason dies, quote unquote. I remember I was not expecting it. Freddy Krueger's claws comes out the ground and grabs Jason's mask and pulls it down. This was in a Jason movie. Did you ever see that scene?
Yes, I think it was the one before Freddy versus Jason
Yeah, it was the
was
one before.
released.
It was the last one before that, and I remember seeing that, and mind you, at that time, there wasn't really much internet. None of us knew what was happening. None of us knew that there was even a Freddy versus Jason movie in production, but that was the first indication that there was going to be a Freddy Jason movie, was when his claws came out of the ground in a Jason movie and
Yeah.
grabbed the mask. I would say, as a fan, I lost my mind. 'Cause, like, that was, like, one of my first biggest crossovers that I've seen in a film at that time. I was still young. I'd never seen a film, at least I don't remember seeing a film crossover like that before. That was
No,
my
I don't
first
remember
time.
anything.
Exactly. That was a really big crossover that nobody expected to ever happen. And then when the film finally came, I hated it. I hated it. It was horrible.
What made you hate it is the question.
It felt like a video game. Like, it felt like, because you know how in Mortal Kombat, especially lately, they put all these random characters in games, Ninja Turtles. I think they put Jason in. No, I think they put Freddy Krueger in one of the Mortal Kombat games.
Yes.
And just the way that Freddy and Jason were going at each other in that movie, it just felt like a video game fight. It didn't feel like Freddy versus Jason, Because then, like, the whole time that, like, when I first heard the film was in production, I kept thinking to myself, how is this going to look? What is this going to look like? Like, how are they going to versus each other? What does that look like? And then when they actually went at it, it just felt like a video game, and I was just like, I'm not enjoying this. I'm not
Well,
enjoying this.
I kind of feel like they should have figured out a way to put Jason in the dream world. Like stab him in the head, and he's out. And while he's out, he winds up being in the dream world. And Freddy's chasing after, one of the victims, and then Jason pops up because Jason wants to kill that person too. And then Freddy and Jason fight. Him coming into the real world kind of felt really ridiculous because of course Jason's gonna win because you can't kill him.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
if you put them in the dream world, you know, then that's a different story. They're both not gonna die ever.
Yeah.
And it's a perpetual fight. I don't know. It's just I think it's one of those movies that where the idea is better than the execution, no matter which way you cut it.
Yeah. I just Yeah, I think you're right. The idea is better than the execution. I don't think it would be something, after seeing that, I don't think it would be something that will ever work.
And the other problem is too is when you look at the story around them, it wasn't. It was very like I don't know if it was the actors or the story. It was just very meh.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was the actors, because they had, what was it, Kelly Rowland was in this movie. It
Okay,
was I was just like, oh, okay. One of the singers from Destiny's Child is in this movie. Like, why would, like, that was already a red flag. Um, and I
say
could
my
just
name. Say my name. Sorry.
yeah, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know what the direction was. I don't know who directed it. Honestly, that's something I gotta look at, because that's big too. I think something like this, a film like this, it needs I don't even think it needs great acting. It just needs decent, mediocre acting, and just a good story, and just a director that's decent. This was just literally, I think it was just a cash grab. And because of the production hell, it
Yeah,
got to a certain point where quality went out the window, and it was just like, all right, we got to make all this money back. Let's just throw something together.
I kind of think they approached the film where like, what do we want to see in the fight? They got to fight in fire. You got to make sure that they throw each other around like they, you know, Freddy slashes air tanks to hit Jason, like nightmare images. I just kind of felt like that was the problem, that
Yeah,
they had notes for beats in the movie, but they didn't have enough of a concept of the whole movie.
I agree. I agree. Uh, Legion in chat says if we watch it now, from my view, it's meh. Yeah, I think we should
Yeah.
watch it in Discord again, like before
Movies
Halloween.
con queso.
Movies con queso. Freddy versus Jason. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We're gonna let you guys know we're gonna have movie night in Discord for sure. That's our next movie night. Um, yeah, I felt like the movie was just at a point. It just felt like it was just about the final fight, just coordinating how they want that to look. And that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much what it was. Honestly, it was just horrible. It was so
Yeah.
horrible for something that had so much hype. It was horrible.
I think they would have stood a better chance where the film would be more entertaining if every time Freddy or Jason went to kill one of the kids, they fought over it, you know? And so then, no, no, seriously, listen to my idea. So they fight over who's going to kill them, you know? So in other words, as Jason goes after the victim, Freddy, hurts Jason and then goes after them. And then, each one of them has a body count.
Hmm.
Then the final finale is them really going at each other. All you really need is, a smaller cast, 5 people total, 6 people total. You knock off 3 or 4, and that's it. You know,
I think the movie would have been better off for one if it wasn't called Freddy versus Jason. If it was just a random Jason movie or a random Freddy movie, Jason or Freddy had to be there and they interacted. They did a few things and then just build the story off of that basically. But I just think the whole story being Freddy versus Jason, it felt like a Predator versus Alien movie. Like it's
yeah,
just it just felt like that kind of vibe. And I'm just like, this is not that's not the vibe of either of these characters. You know what I mean? And they tried to make it that. And I think that's why it didn't work. I think they should have just figured out a different way to intertwine them together. The idea of intertwining them was amazing. Good
yeah.
idea. But they just should have found a different way to have them meet, but not be about, hey, let's fight each other. It's just more about, hey, we ran across each other, let's interact. I think if that was the idea, that would have been cooler because
or, or, or
it's not
even
effective.
it being a Freddy movie, and then they, as they're you know trying to escape the town, they run into Camp Crystal Lake, and then all of a sudden Freddy's there.
Exactly. Exactly. Something like that, where it's like a oops, I ran into Freddy or oops, I ran into Jason. That
Yeah,
would have been cooler because I don't know. I don't know. I think it's one of the worst one of the biggest upsets in horror film history, especially when it comes to a collaboration. It's one of the biggest
yeah.
upsets for
In
sure.
horror movies, you should not cross franchises.
Yeah, just don't do it, man. Just don't do
Yeah.
it.
All right, going back to our Freddy Krueger thing. Hold up, I need to pull up my list of movies.
Okay.
Um, did it bother you that there was 3 movies after Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare?
What were the 3 movies after that?
Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Freddy versus Jason, and the Nightmare on Elm Street remake.
Yeah, I am mad at that. Besides Wes Craven's New Nightmare, I think that's where their franchise should have stopped. Wes Craven's New Nightmare, it should have just
Yeah,
been done. I think that would have been a beautiful crescendo to end the franchise because that, like I said, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, besides the original, is hands down my favorite but my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street. Period. Probably one of my favorite horror movies. Period.
yeah,
It's like top 3 for me. But I am mad at that because after New Nightmare, I felt like everything was just like cash grab. Let's see how much more money we can make. Let's push this as far as we can. And I feel like when it comes to those franchises, like when it comes to the Mount Rushmore of horror icons, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, those are franchises they pushed past like 10 movies and it eventually just kind of got dry and corny after a while. Um, so yeah, I am kind of mad at that. I think they should have just know when you're ahead, just know when to quit, know when to call it a game, you know? Because now I feel like I feel like making a movie in either of those franchises now, it almost feels like a joke. Like if you see somebody's making a Freddy Krueger movie, you're like, ah, somebody's making a Jason movie, ah. Like you're just like you're not taking it serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's my question for you. Do you feel like the movies got worse as each new edition came on? Or do you think the quality stayed about the same?
Um, I would say quality, it probably diminished a little bit. I feel like the earlier films relied more on like practical effects, and that's what I loved about them. As they moved on and started adding more iterations, I felt like they tried to add all these crazy special effects and things like that, and it just kind of took away from the grounded feeling of like the first two. And I think that's why the first two were just so amazing because they were
No.
so
Second
grounded.
one was not good.
Okay, oh, no, 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 I'm mixing it up.
You
The
mean 1 and
original
3?
yeah, 1 and 3 and New Nightmare. Like, they felt grounded, they used practical effects. I think New Nightmare might have had, like, 1 or 2 special effects, but it was grounded. Like, you didn't see them trying to do all these crazy special effects and do all these weird, crazy things with Freddy. Because I felt like after a while, Freddy just became, like a funny guy. And granted, him being funny and him being sarcastic is his character, but him being funny kind of took away from his je ne sais quoi as a slasher guy, basically, in my opinion. I think it kind of took away from it because they were just so focused on him just being funny and let's make sure we get as many jokes as possible and so on and so forth. You
Yeah.
know?
Let's have Freddy Krueger play a video game where that where
Yeah.
the victim is in the video game.
Yeah. It's just it got silly after a while.
I think 1, 3, and 4. 1 was unique. It was a low budget horror film that was amazing. 3 and 4, I feel like we're on the same level. Then I think 2 and then the other ones just declined in quality.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
agree.
that the remake tried to put too much money into it, not realizing what makes Freddy Krueger Freddy Krueger.
That's true. That's actually a really good point. They put too much money into it. Wow. That's deep.
Yeah.
So for anybody who if anybody who's thinking about making a Freddy Krueger movie, if you're listening to this, if you want to make another Freddy Krueger movie, don't give it a high budget.
Yeah.
Just don't give it a big budget because you're going to rely so much on that you're going to lose or miss out on the quality of the story, of the film, of the characters, because you're so focused on the money and how you're going to spend your money and what kind of camera you're going to use and what kind of special effects you're going to buy. Like, don't think about that. Just think about just think about some of the most iconic films that were low budget. Nightmare on Elm Street. What was the budget on that? Let's actually look that up. What was the budget on
Uh
Nightmare on Elm Street?
Hold on one second. I'll find it for you.
Los is our residential facts and money guy.
Uh 1.1 million.
1.1 million. That is chump change in film world today. That's nothing. That's what you pay your director. Not
Well,
even.
they actually think that a low budget film is 3 million and under in Hollywood.
Wow.
They're like that's your talking head movie, your little romance movie and things like that where there's little to no special effects, it's all location, it's mostly talking heads. Um and Nightmare on Elm Street was made with 1.1 million dollars. It was a low budget film, you know. And then let's look at hold on. And the budget for the remake was 35 million dollars.
Jeez. That tells you something.
Yeah.
That tells you something. You got this low budget film with the money they use for that film nowadays is pennies in the film industry. And it is still regarded as one of, if not the top 3, top 5, one of the best horror films of all time. Like
Yes.
it is literally if that movie did not succeed, that franchise would have died after the credits rolled.
Yeah.
And because of that movie with that small budget, that's the reason why we have one of the best, most iconic characters of all time.
Well, I think the horror movies we all remember have it had a low budget. They had a low budget, but a low budget on the larger side. You feel what I'm trying to say?
Yeah,
Like, they
yeah,
had a little more breathing room in their budget as opposed to, the bottom of the barrel low budget ones.
yeah,
Um, and I just kind of think with lack of money comes imagination. With imagination comes creativity. With creativity, you're like, okay, I don't have the money to do X, Y, or Z. How can I improve this?
yeah,
And you go more for the jump scares. You go more for the story. You cast the right people. And I just kind of feel like those are the things that really make those films, memorable and
yeah.
iconic.
I agree. I agree. So yeah, I don't know, man. I personally think that it sucks to say because Freddy is part of my childhood. I grew up on Freddy, but I feel like the franchise is done at this point. I can't see in any near future the franchise coming back or anybody who can or anybody. I mean, there's a few guys that we can see playing that role, but as far as like the creative, the higher up, the directors, producers, I just don't know if anybody has that mind that Wes Craven had to just give that franchise magic. You know what I mean? I just can't see it right now. I can't see it, and it
Okay.
sucks.
With that statement being said, if the gods of Hollywood said, KJ, we want you to reboot Nightmare on Elm Street. How would you do it? What would you do? But the only stipulation is you have to keep the actor from the reboot to play Freddy.
mm,
Would you accept the job? Would you deny the job? Or are there things in your head that you think are iconic in the Freddy Krueger movie?
I would accept the job. The one thing that I would have to require for the movie to be, I think, for the movie to be successful, um, stay away from an origin story. I feel like that's just so. There's so many origin stories nowadays, and that's just so played out. You know what I mean? And at that point, you risk alienating fans, and they're saying, "Oh, well, you're doing this different. He never had this. He never did that." It's like I don't want to. I don't want to deal with that problem. So I'm not doing an origin story. What I would
Okay.
probably do is, I feel like I would just do just a random Freddy story. It's not a continuation of part two. This is not one that happened after part eight. This is not the one that happened before part one. It's just I'm just gonna do a random, almost like they did with the Evil Dead franchise, the one that came out I think in 2012 or something like that. Um, and with that Evil Dead movie, they didn't try to do like a continuation of a story. They didn't try to do an origin or anything. They just took the idea of the Evil Dead franchise and they just made it in current time. And that's basically what I would do with Nightmare on Elm Street. I would just take that franchise, Freddy Krueger, and just say, all right, let's say if Nightmare on Elm Street came out today, what would that look like? What if Nightmare on Elm Street, what for the first time came out in 2023? What would that look like? How would that feel? And that's the feel that I would go for. Not
Okay.
an origin
So
story.
here's a question. Would you continue the thread line of Freddy's getting revenge on the parents who murdered him? Or would you do make it about, whatever children live in this town, they're the ones who suffer,
I would
with
I would
whatever caveat?
I would probably figure out a different angle. I think that'll be because at the end of the day, it's like, all right, you're bringing Freddy back. You're just continuing, like you're making your own story. What are you doing that's different? People are going to want to know what's different. Don't just do the same thing that Wes did. Don't just pick up off of Wes' story. Add your own flair to it, but still show respect to the character, to the franchise. I would just pick a new path to go. Maybe I won't go about revenge. Maybe I'll make it about something else. Maybe I'll just make it about he's just doing it because he wants to. Sometimes not having a reason makes it even scarier. And then maybe at the end of the film you find out the reason, or maybe in a sequel you find out the reason. I don't know.
I know
Yeah.
I know how I would do the film.
How would you do it?
I would do it where you have Nancy's grandchildren, okay?
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
you know, literally they come from the funeral, they look at the old house and they'll, let's knock it over. Or maybe the first shot is the house being demolished. And then
Mhm.
the construction workers find a box, open the box, and there's Freddy's glove. And when they open the box and see Freddy's glove, you see something escape. And then from there, Freddy Krueger goes on his, murder
Career
spree.
page. Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting. Interesting.
You know, put
And
whatever you want in it, voodoo this or this, that, and the other
yeah.
thing. But, Nancy did it, and in her will, one of the warnings was don't destroy the house. Don't break the foundation because
And
she
they destroyed
buried it under the house. I mean, I think
yeah.
that would have been that's why we haven't heard from Freddy for so long because she found the way to trap him, you know.
Interesting.
And then you come into the whole thing where it's Nancy's great grandchildren that are being tortured or killed, you
Mm,
know, or not even them, just everyone around them. Like Freddy's
yeah.
saving them for last,
Okay. New
because that would
line
be a new
new
twist.
New Line Cinema, give us a call. Seriously, give us a
Yeah.
call.
Just something different, something that you didn't see. Like there's no there's no like voodoo or witchcraft or whatever in that I can remember in any of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So I think that little teeny tiny twist of this voodoo box that held him, I think would be a nice twist, and you can just literally drop it after that because no one's gonna
Yeah.
care.
Yeah,
You know?
true, true. That's actually an interesting idea. You might wanna copyright that. Somebody might be listening, and might actually steal that idea from you.
Yeah, I don't care as long as they give me credit.
Yeah, right. Yeah. In the credits, you'll see, and co-producer or idea from Maui. Like, wait a second, what?
Exactly.
Maui. Wait, what's
Yeah,
going
but
on here?
yeah, I
Yeah.
just kind of think that Freddy Krueger, at one point was this runaway train, and then um, it didn't sell as well as it used to. I think mostly because of video rentals, and then we're going back in the day now, and then all of a sudden they were like, "Ah, let's just kill this thing. Who cares?
Mhm.
It's not making as much money as we want." And then they were like, "Well, we kind of need a little money. Maybe we can call on Freddie." And then it just went on and on and on. And I think the reboot originally the concept was we love this character, but then they're like, we don't know how to do this character. Let's throw money at the problem, and it ruined it.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why I said I feel like now when if we were to ever think about or hear somebody come out and say, "Hey, I'm making a Nightmare on Elm Street movie or something or whatever the case may be," it would feel so weird.
Yeah.
It's just like, ah, here we go again. What corny actor's gonna play the guy this time? You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Hell, another twist you could have done on it would be like instead of finding the glove, you find the hat, and when the construction workers puts on the hat, and then he gets possessed by Freddy, and then he, in the real world, murders these kids. And so
Oh
then
wow,
at the end of the first movie, they actually kill him, and then murdering him releases Freddy into the dream world. I mean, that'd be another way to go about it.
that could be. That could be actually. That'd be a good idea actually. I swear somebody's gonna steal this idea. We gotta be careful.
Yeah, and this is
Um,
all just on top of the head. I'm
yeah,
like, oh yeah, let's just,
mm,
because me, I can always think of like film ideas real quick.
yeah, true, true. So,
Look at that Ghost Detective script I sent you.
oh yeah, are we actually still like? Is that still good to go? We still gonna work on that?
Yeah, we are going to work on that. Ricky right now, another person. They sold the house that he was renting, so now he's going to go and he's looking to purchase a house now. So
Oh,
he's in the middle of getting all that. But the new owners are giving him a little time to move out and stuff, 90 days. So
is
he's
he
trying to like work
is
on
he
that.
coming? Is he coming back to Jersey?
No, he's got too much work in Florida.
Yeah,
The problem with here is there's just too much competition.
yeah, that is true. I mean, because you got New York, Philly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's definitely a lot of competition up here as far as the film industry.
Yeah, and believe it or not, there's a lot of production companies in South Jersey, and the reason why they're there is because they can rent warehouses dirt cheap and rent out sets and things like that. And that's like a thing that people don't know about South Jersey. You
True.
know,
I was walking through and this is like just a random conversation since talking about filmmaking. I was walking through Chinatown in Philly. No, not Philly, in New York. In New York. Um and I just saw like people just walking down the street with a camera, a light, and they're just filming a scene. And I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
I missed that. I miss it so much, dude. Like I was just sitting there just watching, like, wow, I wonder what they're shooting. It was just it just reminded me of just us at Grador, shooting our music videos, shooting our short films. I'm just like, man, like the reason why, FYI, for anybody who's listening or watching this podcast right now, the reason why I even started like JHouze Studios, JHouze Radio, is to pick up to the best of my ability where Greater Studio left off. That is literally the reason why I even did this, because like great, and I know we talk about Greater Studios, and a lot of you guys probably don't even know anything about it. Like, what is Greater? Like I said, on the 100 episode, we're gonna have a special episode about that. You guys are gonna love it. But yeah, Greater Studios, man, has opened up like something in me creatively that has made me come to where I am today in regards of content, honestly. Because of Grey Door is the reason why I started this podcast. You know what I mean? And just seeing walking down the street, seeing those like that crew shooting their little short film or whatever it was, it just made me think of that, and it brought me back to like my humble beginnings. You know what I mean?
I will say this much though: if I was able to reboot Grey Door now, it would be a completely different company.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I would break it up into divisions. Like I would have a podcast division. I would have a social media division where it's small films, low budget small films, and I would have the photography division. Like I would break it up into three categories. The podcast would even be where you could rent a space to record a podcast. A flat fee, you get this much hours.
Mhm.
You get to record your podcast there. Which a lot of people would be willing to do it for for a small fee.
Exactly, because a lot of people don't really have the space, to do a podcast. Some people literally just like me, just have the living room, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or
So,
me, my messy office.
so
Hence the
yeah,
green screen.
yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, like I said, that's something that we're gonna dive deep into when we do our 100 episode. I can't wait for that. It's gonna be so freaking fun. Um, but yeah, that is our retrospective of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, we don't dive too much into the horror stuff. But I felt like because it's like Halloween season, we were like, you know what, let's do something different.
Yeah.
And obviously, it seemed like you guys liked it. You guys liked the conversation. We definitely want to try to experiment and try different topics instead of just being, you know, tunnel visioned on certain topics or films and things like that. So
Yeah. And the thing is too, over the next couple months, like we really have to figure out, you know, having a pop culture podcast is great when there's a lot of pop culture things you can talk about. But now like all everything's drying up. So now we have to kind of like do retro reviews and
yeah,
talk about franchises and things like that, because the next show we can talk about as a review is Loki. And then after
yeah.
that, what do we got?
Uh,
Miss
after
Marvel?
after and I'm not looking forward to that. Do we have to watch that? Do we
Yeah.
have to watch
Yes,
that?
we do.
Oh my goodness,
Yes, we
I'm
do.
not
Let's
looking
face
forward
it,
to that.
we cover all DC and Marvel.
Dude, I am not looking. That is one DC film I can say,
Marvel.
probably the first Marvel film. See how bad it is? That is like one of the first Marvel films that I can actually say, dude, I don't even give a crap about it. I don't want to see it. I'm not even interested, not even a little bit about this film. But I'm doing it for you guys. I'm doing it for the people. Doing it for the people.
Wait, what is
We,
it? You can watch what was it? Legion? I'm sorry, forgive me. I don't understand what you said. You can watch what the F paid to watch this topic you guys brought up.
I'm a little confused by that, Legion. You might have to retype that one.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a little
Um,
confused.
maybe he's saying that he would pay to watch the ideas we came up with.
Maybe,
Maybe maybe that's what he said.
possibly.
Because I do think that's a full what we thought of is a full twist on Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
You know,
I think that'll be very interesting to see something like that. Man, we
yeah,
gotta get somebody get New Line Cinema on the line. We gotta have a conversation with them.
yeah. And again, you know what? Like going back to if we would redo, if we would start making films again, I would like to do sequels. like vignettes.
Mhm.
And then once we're done with all the vignettes, release a full blown version, a full movie version of the vignettes. No, they did brought up low stat. Who the f paid to watch this, and I brought up a movie in Discord. Ah, okay, yeah, yeah. So like, I would love to start approaching that come next year. Like we do small vignettes. Like remember the one film I've been dying to do. 8 minutes
Oh,
where it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
was, 8 minutes and all those conversations are linked together. Like I would love to do something, a vignette of something, or even our version of a TV show, which no more than 10 minutes an episode.
That's true, that's true. That'd be a good idea. That's actually a really
Yeah,
good idea. Yeah, but, I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I can't wait till we get into, like, doing short films again, honestly, and that's one thing that sucks is, like, I feel like once we start getting into doing our, short film, it's probably gonna take a little bit away from the podcast, but then again,
I don't
we can
think
have
so.
it. You don't
I
think
don't think
so?
so because the thing about the podcast is because we focus on pop culture, we can choose one week to be current and one week to be retrospective.
That's true.
you know
That's
and we can record the current and retrospective back to back, like on a Thursday and a Friday, and then just release the retrospective, later on.
that's true.
So I don't think, I mean, it will at first, but I think once we get the hang of it, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Traveman said that we could have some cool segments on what we're working on. That's actually a cool idea. So, like, if we're working
Yeah,
on the short film, we can have like an episode where we're like, "Hey guys, this is like behind the scenes talking about what we're doing." We might even just do the podcast on set. Like after we shoot, like for the day or something. Maybe it'd be like a short podcast, but we could do like a quick 20-minute podcast of us on set just talking about the film and stuff like that.
yeah.
So that could
Because
be a good
what
idea.
every time that I've shot any film, I do a lot of BTS, behind the scenes,
Yeah,
um, because I feel like that connects your audience to the film. Even if you don't like it, sometimes you're willing to watch behind the scenes to find out what went right or what went wrong. Um, like DC's big on behind the scenes, and people watch that as much as they watch the actual product.
that's true. That's true. I love DC behind the scenes stuff. I freaking love it, man.
Yeah,
So yeah, like I said, we'll definitely keep you guys posted on that project on the short film that we're working on. It's just it's a process. It's definitely a process. Obviously, if that's something that we do start working on, it's not going to be probably till like maybe next year once the weather starts
yeah,
getting a little better outside. Because we got to wrap up the year and then we got to get ready for the 100th episode. Los has things going on next year, and then we got to actually start getting ready for like start getting things together for this short film before we shoot,
yeah,
obviously. But we'll definitely keep you guys posted. And like I said before, guys, the Patreon is something that helps. It's something that helps in regards to things like that. Us doing our short films, us doing just extra projects and extra content for you guys. Once we do get the short film 100% okay to go, like we get the casting and everything right, we're gonna set up something on our Patreon that's going to go towards the short film. Like we'll set up a fund. So anything that you guys put into that particular fund is literally going to just go towards the short film, nothing else. To help us hire other people to help on the film, hire actors, so on and so forth. So yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys posted on that one.
yeah. And Traveman will keep you in mind for any graphic design stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Your tradesman actually hooked me up with some like emotes and stuff like that for my Twitch page and stuff like that. So he's actually really good. He's really good.
Yeah, and
Um
yes, we still have to do our My Little Pony
oh
podcast.
yes, I keep
That
forgetting about that. Legion reminds me about it every time in Discord. He's like, My Little Pony, where
maybe
is
we
it?"
should just do it next show. Just get it over and done with. Rip the band-aid off.
Yeah, we probably should. But all right, so what we'll do is because I want to talk about actually when is the last episode of Loki? I don't think it's next week. Are we
I don't
talking
know.
so that you know what? Yeah, we'll regardless of what we're doing next week, we'll add My Little Pony to the show next week. We'll just do
Okay.
that. Well, like you said, we'll rip off the band-aid and get that one done for you guys because we did promise you guys that. So all right, Los, do you have anything you want to leave the beautiful people before we get out of here today?
Um, subscribe. comment, and like. And don't forget to share. It's a little gesture for you, but it means a lot to us. The more people who can actually listen, more people who can get ears on it will help us advance a little bit. Don't forget to join our Patreon. For a little as $1, you guys can help us keep the lights on, keep the coffee flowing. Hey, where's my camera? Uh,
Wait.
Whatever, you get the point. My
The-
coffee. um, and we appreciate you guys very much in chat. You guys really do make everything very interesting for us. Because without you guys commenting and things like that, sometimes KJ and I look at each other like, is there something we're missing?
yeah, right.
And you guys really do help. Thank you guys so much for being part of the podcast. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the comments, and thank you so much for reminding us about things like the My Little Pony episode that we need to do. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Trade Man just asked about that. So just a quick backstory. We lost. I forgot what the bet
no, no,
was.
no, not we, you.
I
Okay,
lost the
here's the
bet.
backstory in a nutshell. KJ promised my girl that he would bring her chocolate bunnies. So that's why we have a chocolate bunny rating for all our movies and things like that. So, we did forgot to do that. Do the rating on the chocolate bunnies. So KJ keeps saying he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it. And he was like, I promise you that you're gonna get your chocolate bunnies by this date. And if you don't do it, I'll review whatever you want. And so then my girl was like, My Little Pony. So this is why we are paying for it and having to review My Little Pony.
Yeah, trust me, it was not something that we wanted to do. It was not like we just woke up and say, "Hey, let's just review My Little Pony for the next episode on JHouze Radio."
Yeah,
That was not the case.
yeah.
So,
And I give the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise 4 chocolate bunnies.
ooh, okay. I would probably say 4.5. 4.5 chocolate bunnies I'll give it because, the bad apples in the franchise were pretty bad, and the ones that were good were amazing. And um my score is that high because my score is that high because Freddy Krueger just scared the crap out of me as a kid. Like
Yeah.
he literally has made an impact on my life, growing up. So yeah, 4 to 5 chocolate bunnies for the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Um, Rest in peace, Wes Craven, and big ups to my boy Robin England. Man, you're amazing.
Yes.
All right, guys, that is it. Thank you for hanging out with us for our Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective. We're gonna try to do more of these. It was actually kind of fun. So yeah, we'll catch you guys later. Peace and chicken grease.
Later.